Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of
Leaders, politics,
nobody's ambition is what they blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence.
But I remain committed to the United Kingdom leaving.
Since I became Prime Minister, I've said we must get on and get Brexit done on October the 31st so that this country can move on.
Open conversation. It's on Atlantic Television Network. I am Namdi Zuku. We kick up first with the issue on ground, which is we examine, dissect, and analyze the first speech by the UK Prime Minister, who was just sworn in yesterday. Now, Liz Truss told Britain they could ride out the storm of the worst economic crisis in a generation, as she addressed the nation for the first time as Prime Minister, standing outside 10 Downing Street. She promised the world that she would take action this day and every day to transform the country into what she called an aspiration nation, and that's in quote, right? Now, the new Prime Minister said she would take action to deal with the cost of energy, as well as more action to support the NHS and help people make doctor's appointments, but gave no details about that, which most people were feeling she would have given more details about. We know the speech was a bit less than 5 minutes, but some people say it was loaded. Well, still speaking and taking some leaf from her speech, she said in a short and direct speech, she told the assembled crowd, and I'm quoting Liz Truss, she said, "We shouldn't be daunted by the challenges we face. As strong as the storm may be, I know that the British people are stronger." That's what she said. She said also, our country was built by people who can get things done. We have huge reserves of talent, of energy, of determination. I am confident that together we can ride out the storm. Together we can ride out the storm. We can rebuild our economy, and we can become the more than brilliant Britain I know we can be. Now, Truss, 47 years of age, says took over a Prime Minister after meeting the Queen of Balmoral, where she was asked to form a government after the resignation of Boris Johnson, who was ousted by Tory MPs, right? Earlier this summer, after a series of scandals, she returned immediately to Downing Street by private jet for her first address to the nation in her new role, narrowly avoiding a thunderstorm that initially seemed to have forced her inside to deliver her speech. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister Liz Truss has appointed Kemi Badenoch as a member of her team in a cabinet. She reshuffled after Truss assumed office on Tuesday. A Twitter posted by the verified Twitter page of the UK Prime Minister at 10 Downing Street on Tuesday stated that Badenoch was appointed as the Secretary of State for International Trade and President of the Board of Trade. Well, it says in the post reads, Kemi Badenoch, MP, says has been appointed Secretary of State for International Trade and President of the Board of Trade at Trade Gov UK. That was the Twitter handle. Well, at this point in time, we'll take a very short break. When we'll come back, we actually introduce our guests and give you the analysis properly. Stay with us. Open conversation. We'll be right back.
But I remain committed to the United Kingdom leaving.
Since I became Prime Minister, I've said we must get on and get Brexit done on October the 31st so that this country can move on.
people into the country illegally. That is amazing. You human trafficker.
Honorable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought a very family.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
But I remain committed to the United Kingdom leaving.
Since I became Prime Minister, I've said we must get on and get Brexit done on October the 31st so that this country can move on.
My amendment is that Mr. President should be invited to come and explain the situation for the Nigerian government to stop killing its people and
But I remain committed to the United Kingdom leaving.
Since I became Prime Minister, I've said we must get on and get Brexit done on October the 31st so that this country can move on.
my amendment is that Mr. President should be invited to come and explain the situation for the Nigerian government to stop killing its people and
Thank you for joining us back today in Open Conversation. Before we went on a break, I did give you a reel of the speech by the UK Prime Minister who was sworn in yesterday. And she said some things, and she's really formed her cabinet. It's just so fast. I would say that we're really moving on with the government of the UK. At this point in time, joining me to do justice to these trending and serious issues affecting our nation's landscape, it's principal partner Adams Laws Chambers, and also with 29 years of post experience, a populist and a libertarian and advocate with flair for public law, no other than a legal practitioner, Asim Adams Esquire. Thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
All right.
God bless you.
All right.
Good morning, Nigerians.
Okay, next is a public affairs analyst, Comrade Opuzo Choba. Thank you for joining me this morning.
Always my pleasure. Thank you for having me, sir.
Okay, so gentlemen, we kick off with the issue on ground. We're actually starting up with the matter in the UK. You had a speech while I gave you a break of what she said, and the new one of the Nigerians who's also in a cabinet, right? We know she's not the only foreigner that's there, but she's not regarded as a foreigner because she stayed some years in the UK, and now she's also has a UK citizenship, but she still bears the Nigerian name, Kemi Badenoch. But that's not the first one we'll take on. First of all, I'd like to, what you make of the Liz Truss, the new UK Prime Minister's speech right now.
Thank you very much. It's a new dawn for
the British people, and they have gone further to espouse and expound the ideals of the governance through parliamentary democracy. They have also gone to expound and espouse the idea of a philosopher king, because I use that word philosopher king because she's a graduate of Oxford. And Oxford,
Liz Truss, right?
Liz Truss, yes. Okay. 47 years old, graduate Oxford. Now, she's debonair. She's perfect fit for that post or position. And she's been in government. She's been in the corridors of powers, as we normally use the word in Nigeria here. She's not a neophyte. She's not an experienced, bureaucrat also, and a parliamentarian. So I know she's going to do well. She has that sprite and zest, and also she knows exactly what she's doing. So she's cut to size. Now, if you go to her speech, which I was able to listen to yesterday, it was a speech that was very short but loaded. A speech that could, have woken Winston Churchill from his noble grave. Because the action day, sobriquet that she used was invented by Winston Churchill, one of the prime ministers of Britain at that time. They call him the wartime prime minister of Britain, and one of the best, leaders of the world. So she has promised to, number one, in fact, she first of all, gave accolades and ululated her predecessor, that is Boris Johnson, for tackling COVID and also the Ukrainian war, not letting it have effects on the British people, as it were. The second other point was that on policy direction, she now, said that she was going to tackle the issue of inflation, because for the first time in the history of the British government or British people, this is the time that inflation has gone highest. And you find out that for the first time, for those of us who have relatives in the UK, they will tell you that it's been very difficult for them. That things economically otherwise have been so tight and difficult, they cannot meet, their services, the bills for their services. And you remember also that for the first time in the history of UK, some months ago, I saw jerry cans. People were carrying jerry cans to go and buy, for there was acute fuel scarcity under, Boris Johnson. And based on that, the economy of the British was in shambles. So she promised to revive, galvanize, and revitalize, the economy of the state, that it will directly touch on the lower class, those in the lower cadre. So these are the pungent, areas I could pick, from her speech, So if she's able to do that, I believe in the next 2 years, because she has just 2 years to spend in office, because she's going to complete the tenure of Boris Johnson. Yes. So in the next 2 years, I believe maybe if he's able to achieve that in 6 months or maybe 1 year, she can, have another, shot at that, position again. When the
if she does well in
this time around. Yes. So I think it's a very good one. We have to learn from Nigerians. We have to learn. Another one was that within 30 minutes of her being sworn in, let me use the word inaugural, be sworn in, she appointed her secretaries, what we call ministers here. It didn't take time. She didn't go into the bush or maybe go around to consult, to appoint these secretaries. And if you go through the pedigree and antecedent, of those that are part of the government, of his nascent government, you find that they are cerebrals and eggheads. You know, these are people who are intellectually endowed. These are people who are ready to work. These are people who are cut to size for the particular positions that they have been given to occupy. So we look at it, we look at maybe the British economy has been in gloom, but she's going to make it come to bloom, as the case may be.
Okay, we'll see how that will unfold as we,
Yes.
at time really,
Absolutely, yeah.
passes by.
Yeah.
True, but right now, what she's mentioned some things, and she's a woman, actually. What do you think significantly Nigerians can learn from this? He's mentioned that she didn't waste time to really organize her cabinet. And we know a Nigerian that is also, a Nigerian origin that is also there. That's Kemi Badenoch, right? What are the significant things that Nigerians or Nigeria as a country could learn from her speech she made and from the process that really brought her into office?
First and foremost, I want to say the speech and the speed at which she inaugurated a cabinet, so to speak, was one that gives hope to a people who believe that they were faced an ailing economy, as it were. But the most striking of that speech is the line where she said she was going to ensure we're going to get infrastructure development in road construction. In a country like Britain, and they're talking about road construction in the 21st century, clearly the Nigerian state has got a long way to go. With the kind of roads we know that they already have in those climes, one wouldn't have seen that coming in an inaugural speech. It would have been either insignificant or not something to be looked at. But as it were, she equally enshrined that in her speech making. Having said that, she went ahead to appoint someone in the Conservative Party in the person of our own Nigerian heritage, Kemi Badenoch. When she knew for certain that this person went all the up. I think she was among the last five aspirants to be screened. The Conservative Party for the office of the Prime Minister. Now she equally appointed her as the Secretary of the State on international matters. You cannot ask yourself, there was no bad blood, as it were, in the African setting. We are supposed to be students of history. Students are supposed to learn from teachers, and as it were, our independence was granted to us by Great Britain. One would expect that our politicians would take a cue from such democracies and move from there. But the reverse over here is the case for us. That is one. Two, if you realize that we can excuse ourselves for all there is to be excused, but the reality stares us in the face. And what are those realities? The reality of the fact that we had a supposed ailing economy, as it were, applauded these loopholes in the economy. We heralded them to the highest of heavens, as in 2014, and we had a government that came into power and had 6 months to consult. And not as if the president or the persons that were saddled with the responsibility of leading this economy were the best intellectually. Many of the results to higher education and possible elementary education are in contention. And even in the light of that, we had time for a jamboree, traveling here and there, trying to put an economy together in the most funny political fiasco. But I think one thing we must learn from this is the fact that even with the fact that Boris Johnson was removed from office with some allegations of corruption attached to the reasons why Boris Johnson was removed from office, that did not form the bane of her inaugural speech. She allowed that slide, allowed social commentators in public space look into such issues, but equally observed that whether it's a man-made virus, whether it is not, it is an epidemic or a pandemic, as the case may be, someone was saddled with the responsibility of leading the nation through that very difficult times. And whether they liked it or not, the vaccine went the way it went. However, the controversies around even the vaccine and even the UK and the calling off of the COVID restriction processes, those were not issues at the moment. The issues at the moment was that we have applied for a job, And on this job we have applied for, there are serious pertinent issues on ground that we need to address, and she went headlong to address them, not avoiding names calling, doing the needful. And in the light of it, when you look at the pedigree of the person she has chosen to appoint, you will just be wild, and you just only hope and wish them well if you are a neutral my person, unless you're a partisan person that wants them to fail and let your party come into play. But outside of that, as a neutral analyst, you just look at the way and manner things have gone smoothly. Right. They've not been rancor, and I think it's very, very commendable.
Thank you, gentlemen. Another part I was really caught up with, it's the area that she didn't really bring out the very some ugly sides of the previous government that she's taken over from. That's her predecessor. In her speech, she didn't really paint that in. And one would say that also people who we are also screened alongside with her, just like Bodenoch. Bodenoch was also screened alongside with her. One would expect every Nigerian palace will want to see a situation whereby from the opposition party you bring people into your cabinet to really work. Those are things that we want to really have in the development of democracy in Nigeria. All right, but at this point in time, we're heading over to the next issue on ground. If you're just joining us, I've been speaking with Asim Adams, Esquire, and also Uzo Chuba, political analyst. We're moving over now. We're coming back to Nigeria. It says that governorship candidates meet Wike in Rivers. That's 17 PDP governorship candidates. About 17 governorship candidates of the People's Democratic Party met with the Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike behind closed doors on Wednesday. The candidates were said to have arrived Port Harcourt at about 8 p.m. and immediately went into the meeting with their hosts. A source from Government House, Port Harcourt, said the governorship hopefuls from Katsina, Sokoto, Jigawa, Kaduna, and 13 other states met with Wike at his private residence in Rumeprikon, Obiakpo local government area. Though what was discussed in the meeting was not disclosed, there were indications that it could be linked to the 2023 elections and the party's chances in view of the current crisis rocking it. Well, we'll hold on there. Asim, I'm taking you first on this one. They said what do you think it may be linked to? Their meeting with Governor Wike, and we've heard people say that he's the choicest bride now in Nigeria, but other angles have it that some other people are not really calling his bluff, right? They're not really giving him the attention he's actually seeking for right now, because he's been all over the news. What do you think this 17 governorship aspirant will be coming to do at the Rumeprikon villa of Governor Nyesom Wike?
Well, the governors coming to meet Nyesom Wike and other people flocking to his house that has turned his private residence to a mecca of salt, to a nectar where all insects that want to pollinate, come to draw their fluid. So he's become the choice bride, like you said. See, I know the reason is because of this. It's not far-fetched. Not that Nyesom Wike is a superhuman, even though he's standing in what I describe as Olympian audacity and braggadocio. He has placed himself in that particular behemotian, level, that he has become a larger-than-life kind of personality. But he is still human. And I'm happy that empires come and empires go. Great men come and great men go, because every time you must have great men. Narrowing it down to PDP, it is not just Nyesom Wike as a man, but the office, the paraphernalia surrounding the office of any governor of Rivers State since 1999 has become a primordial pillar in Nigerian political firmament. The orderlies of this world, you remember, they were very powerful. People were coming to him. He could decide where to sway, and the tide will go. The amateurs of this world, we saw what happened. Now, Wike is a human being, but occupying the office of a governor. The reasons are not far-fetched. For you to run a state that gets about 18 billion or more from the federation account monthly, and you also accrue about 16 billion to 18 billion internally generated revenue, it is humongous, and it is a force that can be likened to witchcraft and wizardry. Because once you occupy and you have such, you become a deity. So anybody that occupies that position of governor of Rivers State, because of the enormous wealth at your disposal, you are bound to become a force in whatever party that you become. And I made the example of the Odilists of this world. You saw how they behave, the Amechis of this world. You saw how Amechi single-handedly left PDP and went to APC. In fact, he set up APC in Rivers State, nurtured it to the national level, and was able to bring in somebody they wanted to be. So this is the powers that surrounds the governor of Rivers State. Now, Yesowike's own is not different from their own. It's just that his own has taken a new dimension, in the sense that he has become a religion to his people in PDP, and they now pay what I call obeisance to his authority. So he has become omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. So when you ascribe such to a politician, he now becomes a demigod. And once he has become a demigod, then he can, once he sneezes, others will begin to quake, as the case may be. Now, look at what has happened. Those governors came, according to reports, to come and kowtow. That is, they came to beg him and kind of placate him, even though it was not something out of the ordinary, that he should support the presidential candidacy of Atiku Abubakar. So, which means that they have placed Yesowike above all other Homo sapiens in PDP. He has now become, if you have watched this particular movie they call the VIP, like the sitcom, he has now become a figure that must be eulogized and worshipped, a figure that can decide who will become the president of Nigeria tomorrow. He's ascribing so much to himself. So they have come to placate him. They have come to pay homage and sacrifice, because he's like a god. In my place where I come from, they said, if you serve a god with blood, if you take palm oil there, it will not accept it as sacrifice until you give him that blood. So they come in.
Colors look alike.
Yeah, because even though they look alike, the god still knows that this is in his blood. So Wike has now become like a deity, a god that is worshipped. So, and it has gone beyond that political, esoterical level for us right now. Now, the reason why this is happening, we were discussing issues pertaining to what is happening in the UK, is because Nigeria has a flawed mantra of allowing people to buy political parties as if political parties are PDP PLC or APC PLC. It should not be. That is why you see somebody can sit somewhere in London and say, this man, you will not become governor of the state. And everybody will say it's true, he has said so. He will sit down in Congo Brazzaville while being by the river basin and say the man will not become vice president. And you say that is what it's going to be. Because they call them sponsors. It should not be allowed in Nigeria politics. In Britain, that we just came back, we analyzed just now, how do you get political parties are funded by tokens from that is what they call fees that people pay monthly, that is members pay monthly to the post of the political party, and by way of donations. They will not take much donation from a particular individual, because they know that if you do that, you are going to influence what is going on in the party. That is what is taking place in all our political parties in Nigeria today. That is why you have this perfidy. That is why you have this kind of umbrage, that somebody will sit down and say, you must come and worship me or beg me before I will do whatever I want to do. So it's an appalling situation. I'm not happy with it. I'm saying that let him use his time. It is an opportunity. But let him know that empires come and empires go. Strong men come and strong men also go. That is the situation I want to advise them as the case may be.
All right. Okay. Opposer right now. The source said that who pleaded anonymity. He said the candidates were pleading with Wike to support the presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, and his running mate, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, as well as the party's national chairman, Senator Nyecha Hu. He said that they literally begged Governor Wike to forgive Atiku and also to throw his weight behind all the PDP leaders that may have offended him one way or the other. Well, this is their plea. Do you think the personality of Governor Nyesom Wike would do this?
Very simply and very straightforwardly, we have seen the grandstanding of the governor of Rivers State on this matter, as it were. And I've always reiterated, and I will keep reiterating. When it comes to floor members, party is supreme. When it comes to stakeholders, they are the supremacy of the party. And for me, it is a very, very bad way to go. Either ways, whether you like it or yes, today, like Barrister Sim Adams clearly tried to estray why the strength of the Rivers state government governors is or are the way they are, starting from the time of the Odelis to Amechi and now to Governor Wike, is as a result of the Supreme Court ruling giving a stand, because the Supreme Court has ruled that no security agency or financial institution has the capacity to investigate the past and present governors and financial workers of Rivers State government. And upon that stand, the government and governors of Rivers State now have the the prerogative reserved to themselves to spend the funds of Rivers State as it were. I want to say that we talk about 17 governorship aspirants of the People's Democratic Party. They are only taking a smart move because they've come to realize that at some point in time, the governor was in Sokoto to donate 500 million. The governor was in Benue State at some point in time to donate 200 million. He has been in places, he has been a good donor. And in the light of that, they want to run elections. Many of these persons are another international jobbers. They have come again. And they believe that since they come to the Mecca in Nigeria, as it were, the governor will call it to have funds. And when he does that funds to them to support their interests, and if the governor can, in sincere tune, align himself with the leadership of the People's Democratic Party and support the Atiku Kowa ticket to a large extent, that will give them the leverage to at least assess him and be able to collect funding from him to support their electionary bids. Many of these people have little or no jobs. Many of these people have no occupation. They do absolutely nothing, and all they do is politicking. Like the democracy we estranged earlier ago, you realize, in fairness, that even Boris Johnson has placed his support for Liz Truss. That is how systems are supposed to function. But where we are licking old wounds. We're trying to berate ourselves and continue to pander towards a pathway. We have not gotten it right. And whether we like it or yes, I do not see, and I make it very boldly. The Form 6 or Form A6 form where people can now come and ascribe figures as they please, as they so wish when elections are conducted. I think it is injustice. And if we want to take the new electoral process with any level of seriousness, Governor Nyesom Wike has a vote. Yes, he has done his bid in the People's Democratic Party, and I say it without minusing words. There's nothing Governor Nyesom Wike has done in the People's Democratic Party today that somebody has not done before. And whether we like it or not, yes, you saw the way and manner the Conservative Party and all our aspirants package themselves in the screening to become the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. You saw the decorum and the respect for one another, and it has culminated in the appointments. You have seen to it that people that came up with good arguments, good directory to policies of governance, to where they intend to take the nation towards. They were all inculcated and infused into the system. But we have seen a departure here in Nigeria, and I made bold to say that whether we like it or yes, these are aspirants, and I've said it, and I will not mince words. Many of the aspirants are unserious people. Many of the aspirants are normal jobbers who are just seeking a nest to pitch their tent. And Governor Wike is seemingly the best nest to pitch your tent. And if the Governor Wike listens to them, good and fine for the People's Democratic Party. But how good is the option of Governor Wike coming back into the fold? That's another case.
Okay, well, if he will listen to them, because this next issue we are discussing right now never shows that he's going to listen to them. It says that PDP will not get free votes in 2023 election. As Governor Wike says, the Rivers State Governor Yeson Wike has said votes for the state in the 2023 general elections will be put where a concrete reward is granted for such electoral support. Barrister Asim Adams, that's his stand, and it's quite different from what the governors are actually coming. What the governors came to do was to plead and ask for forgiveness concerning the issues that are really have been bedeviling the PDP, that have been dragging the PDP back and forth. Now he has come out to say the PDP will not get free votes. So, is it not somehow insinuating a reply to the 17 governorship aspirants that have come to actually plead for forgiveness from the presidential candidate, the vice presidential candidate, and also the national chairman?
Of course, that is what the statement is all about.
Okay.
If you look at, I chuckle at times when I watch Wike. He's a bundle of comic relief on when I watch him commissioning projects and he's speaking. He has a persona that is very exuberant, though luscious in a way, and he has taken this thing too luxuriously far to the extent that he begins to rub it on your face. Let me use that word, to rub it on your face. So when 17 governors came to visit, and just after leaving, you say, no, PDP will not, get votes or whatever, free votes or whatever the case may be in Rivers State. It goes back to what I have been, asking questions. I was asking whether the Rivers people's vote in 2023 is going to be in a bag or a sack that is kept in Rume Precom, that is Yeso Wike's village, where he will now go there and pick those votes and give to PDP the way it is. I don't know. I don't think so also. Governor Wike has the enormous political powers. That is no doubt. Inside PDP and in the South-South, he has that enormous powers. He has that flair to convince, also use money to influence and taunt and kind of bring, votes, whatever as the case may be. But he has just one vote, as the case may be. So I know the Abia State Governor is on his side, it's on the South-South. Apart from the Abia State Governor that is on Wike's side, I am yet to see any other South-South governor that is on his side. So are you telling me that only Rivers State is the only votes on Rivers State that will win the presidency for Atiku Abubakar, assuming so that Wike has, that kind of powers to now cocoon himself and have those results or votes in his pockets? How many are they? Are you saying that with the 3 million or 4 million or 5 million that they are going to churn up on Rivers State, that is going to be the determining factor of the general election in 2023? I don't think so. I believe that, yes, it is part of it, but it is not the whole. In Rivers State also, I do not even know, because I have said this before now, that is a three-pronged affair in Rivers State. You have the SDP, the SDP, you have the APC, then you have the PDP. And these three candidates, I'm not going to buy the other YPP and the other people, the AD and the rest of them. These three candidates are strong in their own region, as the case may be. Like Magnus Abe has Ogoni in his area. So I don't know how many PDP will get there. Toye Cole, it is in the Calabari region, it is in the region. You can see the battleground that is going on there. The only area that I feel that we have that, overwhelming and baptismal right over is the Ikwere Obiakpo, Faga, whatever as the case may be. Even as it is right now, Faga and Obiakpo is going to be divided. In the sense that the henchmen who were working with him to deliver Faga and Obiakpo, they are even at loggerheads with this man. That is, if you look at Osnokpara, You look at Celestine Omehia. These are core people who have, cult followership and supporters, as the case may be. Now, if you begin to do this and they decide to say, no, we're going to do what they call protest vote and ask our people to vote for any other party, can Governor Wike boast of having up to 1 million votes for PDP, even as it is, or any other party coming from him in Rivers State? I doubt seriously. This situation as scenario is different from the 2015 in Broglo and the 2019 cataclysmic, firmament we had as at that time. I said in 2019, 2015, results were contrived. You have situations where you can simulate and choreograph, results like the magician, what I call the voodoo type votes that came up, that they manufacture numbers from somewhere and say this is the votes for River State. It's not going to be like that this time because of the beavers and whatever. So with all these people, interspacing and interspairing with Yeso Wike, are you sure that he still has that enormous power, or is just an empty vessel that is making too much noise, as the case may be? Because somebody, I listened to one of the PDP faithful some days ago on television. He said that Yeso Wike has the right to talk, he can blab and do whatever he wants to do. But on the election day, they are going to tell him that it is easier to talk than to do the bidding. That people will not follow him just hook, line, and sink, as the case may be. River State, yes, he has control. I know that maybe if you want to buy votes, he has the money to buy the votes. I am asking a question that with these three parties that we have, the APC will not lie low to allow Wike to have the whole votes in River State. SDP will not lie low to allow Wike to have the whole votes in River State. So what votes is he talking about that he's going to give to the PDP?
That's another question.
That is the question I'm asking.
Yes.
So because if he uses it as a bargaining chip, as a bait, to draw this point nearer himself, it's a political gimmick that will take him not even near Dorado. It's going to be something that is going to be a pirate victory at the end of the day in 2023, I believe so. You should be very careful. Let him align, because politics in Nigeria here is politics of alignment. If you want to do it alone and you feel that you are an island, what is going to happen to you that day, you're very shocked in Nigeria politics.
Thank you very much. Now, Chiwa, it said again, the Governor Wike said his life was in God's hands, saying anyone or group planning to eliminate him will die first. That's the governor speaking. Says again, we can reveal that some of his close associates have expressed concerns over his safety, but he has told them not to be bothered because God was on his side. Governor Wike said at the appropriate time, we will decide on what to do. I want Rivers people to reflect on this, because since 1999, we have brought the highest votes to the People's Democratic Party. This statement, right, would you feel it as being true? It says again, which state has given more support than Rivers State since 1999? Show me one federal project in Rivers State. Is there any? So that's the question he was asking. So if you want our votes, then tell me what you will give Rivers people. That's like a bargain he's putting forth, right? Based on some of the statements and based on 99. How do you really...
was visited. The statement credited to the governor when he said that the PDP was not going to have, he was not going to give a vote to the PDP in Mans, was at the commissioning of the UST extension at HA. I think the meeting of the governorship aspirants came after that meeting. So I wish that one important issue is the fact that the national chairman of the APC responding to the national chairman of the PDP that they were not interfering in the PDP's affairs, they were not poking any of their members. I think it goes a long way to remind the governor of Rivers State, and it's in the person of Femi Babamila clearly stated. He said, Mr. Governor, listen to me, clearly making you understand that to a large extent, the governor seems desperate any embargo or any uproar to issue. So he allowed things to fly. And in the same vein, I think it's similarly what the APC has equally calculated. So the grandstand of what is the population strength, what is the voter strength of the Rivers State government in respect to Yobe State, Kaduna State, Sokoto State, and the likes. So it had entrenched our foot in the south. A lot of people have come to make a decision for themselves. And it is pertinent to stress to political gladiators that, listen, you have your vote. You have those people you are feeding. Since Governor Wike came out to make the statement that he saw in his party's faithful faces, program as Governor Wike put on ground. Look at the what's it called, pensioners and retired staffs in workers of River State. How well has the biometric processes and their pensions been paid? These are the people that form the chunk of a.
Asim Adams, is this the situation actually on ground, if I will ask you? And the statement by Pandef, do you see it as a threat to the entire Nigerian